If you are a Republican running in the midterms this year, you've got a perception problem. According to new numbers just out from Politico and Public First, 3 in 5 Americans think gas prices are actually higher than they are. And what's more, about half say it will affect how they vote. So can Democrats seize the moment? Joining us, Chief National Correspondent for Puck and host of Puck's The Powers That Be podcast, Peter Hamby, journalist and author of Blow the Stack on Substack, Charles Blow, and Democratic strategist and senior advisor to the James Tallarico campaign, Chuck Rocha. All right, so Peter, let's start with this analysis from Politico. They've basically gone through their own poll numbers and some granular pricing data to come out with this number that 3 in 5 think gas prices are actually higher than they are. Help me understand the polling as you have digested it and why people don't believe their eyes and so much their feelings.
I mean, look, it's kind of been the case that I think voters forever have believed more in vibes than actual facts and data. It's just what they feel. That did surprise me a little bit because the most proximate way for people to process the economy as they think about it is probably gas prices or grocery prices, and people drive by gas stations all the time. But look, it's a poll. People don't recall things directly off the top of their head, but the atmospherics are very clear. In every Senate battleground state, if you look at AAA, gas prices are either above $4 or close to $4, even in Texas where Chuck is working. It's a big energy producing state. The gas average is like $3.70 a gallon. It's up over $1 from a year ago. People are mad. But I found this poll pretty interesting, actually, Katie. A clear majority of voters in this survey, a clear majority of Republicans, rather, 60%, think the war in Iran is the reason. Republicans, a majority of Republicans, are blaming Trump and the war in Iran for this. So it's just a compound of factors. But Trump is underwater on every issue. He's underwater by double digits on immigration. And so if you're a sitting president in a midterm year and nothing is going your way on the economy, on immigration, on foreign policy, and your previous guest said he's making these choices that are causing those problems, I think, of course, voters are just going to think gas prices are worse than they are. Their economic situation is worse than it is, because that's just, that's conventional wisdom, yes. But, talk to your friends and neighbors. Everyone's feeling the pinch. They'll probably overestimate gas prices.
Yeah, 1 in 4 say gas has risen $3 or more, but no zip code has seen that. So, I mean, I think Peter's getting to it, and we were talking about it during the break. It is an emotional response, and it's hard to compete. It's hard to deny an emotional response, Charles.
I think that's absolutely right. But also, gas prices have been on a roller coaster since we entered this war. Maybe I couldn't tell you what it was 3 weeks ago because it was completely different. Every time they signal that they're getting close to some sort of deal, we get some easing in pressure. They go back to fighting. It goes up again. The gas stations lag behind what's happening with crude oil. So it's all over the place. And so the idea that people may not know today that it is a little bit lower than what I'm estimating, because what's registering to me was when it was at that really high, but that was only 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. So all of that can be happening.
Yeah, it imprints on your brain.
Right. And there's this overlying anxiety that's out there that folks are feeling, and I think it's seen in these polling numbers. We're working on congressional races from New York to California. The through line is the anxiety. People feel a tightening. They feel it when they're paying their bills every day. But every day when they drive by, and we were talking about this in the break, and they see that sign, it imprints on their brain because they're like, that's something else I'm not going to have. Is it going to cost me $60 this week to fill up my truck, or $80? Because that $20 goes towards something they want.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the middle of summer. If you're lucky enough to take a vacation, you're not getting on a plane because the prices for jet fuel are insane, and ticket prices there. Or if you thought you could save some money by driving to your vacation, you look up at the signs at the gas station. You think, well, that's not affordable either.
And in America is one of the last places in all of the world where if you play by the rules and you do everything right, your government's supposed to kind of be there to help you along the way, but stay out of your way. Like, you're supposed to be able to work your way out of these these tensions. And most of my parents, I won't speak for Charles, but that's what they did. They worked in factories, they could make it, they could make a living, and they could work hard enough, more than maybe somebody else who wasn't doing as good, and that would be rewarded. But right now, people feel like it's not being rewarded.
So Chuck is making the Democratic case. Again, he's a senior advisor for James Tallarico. That's what the Democrats want to pitch to the American public, that they're able to, first of all, that they see the pain, Peter, but that they're also able to change it. They're able to fix the pain. Are you hearing that message from Democratic candidates?
I mean, you're definitely hearing that message. I do think that Democrats need to be cautious about being a little too cocky, just running against Donald Trump. And I know this is becoming actually a pretty common talking point among Democrats who are either on the left and DSA-style candidates, but also sort of more centrist Democrats, that they need to be offering something. And look, I think Tallarico is a good example, talking about taking on the billionaire class, making healthcare more affordable, et cetera. And they are still running, though, just mostly against Donald Trump. If you go into crosstabs in any poll, Democrats do marginally better on some issues and marginally less than Donald Trump. Looking at the generic ballot, Democrats have a 6 or 7 point advantage now over Republicans, depending on the poll. But go back to 2018, both in the summer and July and then closer to Election Day, Democrats had about a 7 point advantage on the generic ballot, and they still didn't take back the Senate. Yes, it was a wave in the House. So I would caution Democrats about being too cocky. And it's important also to run on local issues that feel salient. Alaska is a good example. Mary Peltola running out there, the Democratic nominee, is talking about fishing all the time. Just fish, 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 fish. That's really valuable, so you can't just run against Trump. You also have to have something to point to. Democrats are trying to figure that out. The environment's certainly terrible for Republicans, but Democrats still have long-term work to do on certain specific issues.